Hello and welcome to the Easy Publish show number 20. And we are talking about Sylius today. And for those of you who don't know what Sylius is, well, this is the right show to be in. So first I want to introduce my only guest today, Pavel from Poland, and I will not try to pronounce your surname.
Do it.
So say a few words.
Hi, so my name is Pavel. My last name is Janczejewski, but yeah, I understand that Ivo doesn't want to pronounce it. So I'm from Poland, and I created the Sylius project. Also with my friend Michael, who is actually sitting in front of me in the office. We started a commercial company, and we are doing consulting, training around people who use and around companies who use Sylius.
Okay. Well, just to give some context before we proceed. So I heard about Sylius, which is an e-commerce solution based on Symfony, I think last year at this time, probably. And sometimes this start of this year, we kind of decided to look into it, and which we badly need this let's say e-commerce part because we usually build CMS solutions, and currently Easy Publish is in a state where there is a re-implementation going on. There is a new version. Well, it's not anymore new, but it's still, we call it a new stack. So it still is in the implementation, and some parts are still not being re-implemented. And one of those parts is the shop functionality. We used the shop functionality in Legacy Z before, but it kind of does make sense that we use it anymore. So we need a replacement for that. And building it from scratch is kind of too much of the effort. And we noticed Sylius, and we decided to try it in a first project, which we come to when we find a good project for that. In the meanwhile, we met Pavel at Oslo Easy Days conference, and he was also at the summer camp as a speaker, and he had a 3-hour workshop about Sylius. And there's also an interview with some details about Pavel on our website. And luckily, we have found a project in a cooperation with the project lead, which is Kitek from Norway, and in partnering with also a great company from Croatia called Lokastic, which they are using already Sylius on some of their projects. So we are currently working on a project where we combine Easy and Sylius. And I just figured that this topic would be a very interesting topic for the Easy Publish community. And this is the reasoning behind this show and behind this topic. So first of all, what would be the best if Pavel just uses 5 to 10 minutes to describe what Sylius is, so that all Easy Publish community figures out, do we need it or not? So Pavel, let's go.
Yeah, okay. First I would like to say that Easy Publish community is really, really great, and I'm very happy to feel, at least to some degree, being a part of it. And with Sylius, it all started when I discovered that there is Symfony 2 going on. It was still in development, so I'm not absolutely sure, but I think it was not even alpha release. The whole development was happening on Fabian's repository on GitHub, and at this point I was moving away from my own solution, from my custom framework, let's call it this way, and I decided that Symfony looks great. It looks very promising, and it would be awesome to build some shop components for it. As you probably know, Symfony has the bundle system, so it was great foundation for having some e-commerce, for building these e-commerce components. So I started basically a few bundles for the cart, for the order, for product, so just basic shop functionality, pack it in the Symfony bundles. I was inspired by Symfony, by its community, and when I realized how open source work, how well open source works for Symfony, I thought that it would be good to open source these bundles. I think it was not even Sylius as the name, but I've shared a few bundles on GitHub. Apparently, people were very excited about Symfony itself, and among Symfony community developers, there is a lot of people who do e-commerce. So they discovered these bundles, they started helping with them, and ultimately Sylius grew into the project that it is now. I mean, initially it was just this set of few bundles for the basic e-commerce features, and then we started building a sandbox application. So a simple Symfony app with Twitter Bootstrap templates, just the basics where we could experiment with new functionality, where we could check how to integrate the bundles together into a fully functional shop. But I was not very happy with how the sandbox looks, because it was a sandbox, it was a playground, not a real application. And the community was growing. We had more developers, more attention. Sylius basically became one of the most popular e-commerce systems in Symfony world. So we decided to rewrite the sandbox from scratch. I was also lucky enough to work at the same company as Konstantin, the guy who created Behat and PHP spec together with Marcelo. So I was inspired to do this the proper way with BDD. So we took the sandbox, we started writing it from scratch using Behat and PHP spec, and it turned to be what Sylius is now. So Sylius platform. So we have currently we have a set of components which are framework agnostic. So we have just simple PHP libraries that you can use with any project. It doesn't have to be based on Symfony. We have this set of bundles that basically integrate these components into Symfony. And at the end, or maybe at the top, we have the Sylius platform. So it's in simple words, it's just a shop application. But most of the time, people use it as a foundation for some custom e-commerce platforms, integration with other stuff, and so that's Sylius. I feel.
So there is a new version which is currently released. Released earlier this week. So it's 0.11.0 or something like that. So this is still. Is it alpha or is it?
It's pre-alpha.
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 Can you explain this a bit?
There are applications running in production for over a year now, or even more. So the bundles, the functionality of the bundles is pretty much stable. The platform itself is a moving target. We still add a lot of stuff and change things, change architecture. So there are backwards compatibility breaks. Sometimes quite a lot of them. They are not that painful. If you ask Antonio from Locastic, who did many Sylius projects, he knows that you can live with the busy breaks that we do. Most of the time, always we provide migrations and upgrade instructions, but we are not ready yet to commit to make the promise of backwards compatibility. I would say there are a few reasons for the fact that Sylius is not stable yet. One is documentation. It requires a lot of work, and Sylius is my first open source project. So I wish I would start writing documentation right away, but yeah, it's hard work, and writing documentation is easy, but creating a good documentation is very hard task.
Yeah, but you know, creating, if this is your first open source project, but I would say it's quite successful. I mean, usually, first open source project for people are, you know, just the small pieces that are lost on GitHub or whatever. So
Yeah, so I wish I knew what I know now. So that series would probably be further. But anyway, so the first reason is documentation, and the second one is that there are few things that we still want to add. For example, with other e-commerce solutions, um, the most common use case is just a shop application with all the standard functionality. But for Sylius, most of the time people customize it heavily. They often need multiple stores, etc. So, for example, the multi-store feature is what we are working on now. Fortunately, we got a very nice project that needs a commercial project that needs this functionality together with a full API. So we have now resources and time to implement it in Sylius. And except the API, multi-store, and search functionality, which is quite powerful. It supports both ORM and Elasticsearch. We are currently reviewing the pull request, which is pretty much done. These are the three things that block the release actually, because feature-wise, I think it's enough for 1.0. We want to definitely add much more, but for 1.0, I think it's enough. Just these two things, and of course the responsive layout, the responsive theme that we are working on.
okay, so these features would kind of round the let's say the product, and you will then go to beta and
Yes.
to a stable number, and with that stable number, you will also, let's say, need to have some kind of a longer support. I mean, at least on from your company that supports it. So you need to round it somehow, right?
You mean like long-term support release?
Yeah, something like that.
Um, I think we'll move fast after 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if 1.0 will be LTS, but I think we have spent a great amount of time and resources on the architecture. So I think we have a really good foundation for building extensions and new functionality without breaking the backwards compatibility. The last big change which will happen is the multi-store. So after that, we will move we'll move towards 1.1 and next versions. In terms of support, a commitment to support, for example, with Symfony. Symfony will be powering a big part of the web with Drupal 8, and then with Easy. So they need to have a very strict backwards compatibility policy and long-term support releases. With Sylius, I want to check how good the 1.0 release will be, and depending on that, for sure, absolutely, one of the next versions will be a long-term support version.
Okay. And what about what is the size of, let's say, the Sylius community? So how many people you have working on the Sylius product, let's say full-time or part-time, and how many people are, let's say, contributing in a, like with some pull requests?
I'm acting as the lead developer, but we have a core team which consists of, I think, 7 or 8 people. I don't remember now exactly. From San Diego to Ukraine, and they're so some of them are in France or Singapore. So they're all over the world. I share with them the right access to the repository, so they can merge the pull request, etc. We have a policy that most important changes, big changes, the interface changes, all this goes through me. But this is basically the team that manages the development. I think we hit over 160 contributors right now, something like that. So compared to Symfony, it's not that much, but still, I'm very proud of the fact that so many people have contributed. With translations, we have, I think, more than 200 people helping with translating Sylius into multiple languages.
I would, sorry to jump in, but I would say that's not a small community. You know, there are of course much bigger communities.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's great.
There is a lot of people coming, new people appearing on GitHub. It often depends on whether the community members work on Sylius project or not, because there are few agencies which focus on Sylius, but there are not that many who are only Sylius oriented. So most of the time it depends if the agency currently works on a Sylius based project or not. So if they work, they have time to contribute. Otherwise, they do this in the free time, which is scarce, as we all know.
Yeah, I mean that's well similar from our side. We will. I would say we will never, or I don't think we will ever use it. You know, focus solely on Sylius.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that we will work on, and I presume there will be much more and more agencies that are using it. But coming to that, what's your comparison? Well, you are obviously maybe not too objective from that point of view, but how can you compare, let's say, Sylius with some other products, mainly with Magento, but there are some others mentioned in questions like Shopware or Drupal Commerce. What do you say about that?
First, it's the architecture. So Sylius is not monolithic. So if you want to use Sylius, you don't have to use the full platform, or you can just pick the components that you like and use them for your application. That works great for use cases where you don't need a full e-commerce store with inventory, only just a basic shopping cart with some customers, and that's it. Then you can pick the bundles, the components, depending on which framework you use, and use it for Sylius, for your project. That's the main difference in terms of architecture. I think the foundation. So Symfony, I think that's what got Sylius so popular. I spent, like, I don't know, not that much money on marketing. If you can, it's basically just a website and that's it. So I think Symfony is one of the most important differences. Everyone who works with Symfony knows how good framework it is and how easy it is to integrate, to develop new features to any Symfony application. It's just not Sylius. That also gives us a great opportunity to integrate with other projects like Easy Publish. The common foundation is just makes the whole integration. Because, for example, with Easy and Sylius, we don't integrate through API. We don't communicate using any kind of APIs. We simply sit on top of the same foundation. This is not some connector plugin or something like that. It's not a module. It's two different applications working together in the same core, in the same kernel. That's a completely different approach to what we had in the past. And that's not only easy. Drupal 8 will share the same for interfaces like the HTTP kernel interface. Same for Akeneo or CRM. These are all great Symfony applications, and that opens a lot of opportunities for I would say maybe it's not proper word, but native integrations, like not through API, but just the same foundation.
I can definitely agree on that, because we you know, when we heard about an e-commerce solution that is based on Symfony, this is the first thing that crossed our mind. So how can we integrate it, you know, without doing some bridges and connectors, which are usually, you know, just syncing something or whatever. And we started to integrate it, and there was problems, of course.
Yeah, mostly dependencies.
Yes. So there was dependency problems. We need to figure out how to make both, let's say, both applications live on the same Symfony stack. So on the same dependencies that are needed. Sometimes, you know, for example, Easy might depend on a certain version of a CMF routing, for example, and Sylius, maybe it's more advanced and depends on a newer version. So that kind of problem, that's a first step of problems. Then there are some others, but we cannot go into details with that. But so far we managed to do exactly that. So we have a Sylius bundles, all bundles, installed on top of Easy Publish, which is a Symfony app, and they work together. That's quite a big achievement from us, and we will move forward from that. So, but returning back, how can you compare feature-wise, let's say Sylius and Magento?
Feature-wise, we are not there yet. So I generally avoid comparing Magento and Sylius. I know that people love to do this, and every time I see a tweet with hashtag Magento killer, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of pressure on my side, because that's a quite big challenge.
I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, Magento is here how many years? So it's you need a lot of work to fulfill all the features.
I started Sylius in 2011. Like the first very small bits of code, experimented with Symfony, how to deal with all the implementation, etc. But the real development of the platform itself, of the full Sylius, started last in the beginning of the last year. So it's a good amount of time, and I think we achieved quite a lot. But yeah, we need a bit more time. Especially, it started as a fully open source project. There was no business plan behind it.
Okay, so just to give a bit more details, you know, because I suppose developers will be mostly looking at this show, so they might be wondering. So, what are the main components of Sylius? You know, what do you currently support? You mentioned some, let's say, multi-store and stuff like that, which is maybe a bit more advanced. But what are the main components that you have in Sylius?
So there is of course the product catalog, and I think it's not just like the default normal product catalog, because it consists of 3 components. The first bundle and component is about attributes. So you have attributes and attribute types management, which can be applied to anything, not only products. In Sylius use case, we use it for products, but you can very easily add the attributes to any model you want. So if you want to have like customizable attributes on the user, you can do this. The other component for product catalog is variation system. So that as an addition to attributes, you can also define options and different variations. That's of course useful for our product catalog, which is based on options and variations. It has also product prototypes, so you can define templates for define a prototype code book with a set of defined attributes and then quickly create new books from this prototype. We have quite powerful zone system. So for every address that customer enters, you can match a specific geographical area that he's in, and it doesn't need to be only for. We use it for taxes and shipping, but there are some projects going on which will use the zones for deciding which content to show to the user. So you have content zones. So for example, visitors from US see different content than people from Europe, etc. With taxes, we have this quite nice component with different tax rates, which integrates with the zones and different tax categories. So you can define different tax rates for different products. It holds, I think one of the most interesting features in Sylius, which is used in multiple components, is the calculator system. So basically, for example, for the shipping, you have a special interface called shipping calculator interface. And you basically, like in 5 minutes, you can introduce a completely new pricing scheme for the shipment. You just implement this interface, create your own service, register it in the container using a specific tag. So tell Symfony that this is a shipping calculator. You can also add a configuration form, so it's not like fixed logic. You can configure it, and it will appear in the system. It can be used from the backend and so on. And that's done for shipping calculators, for promotions, for the pricing. So you can do the same. We have a pricing component where you can create your own custom pricing calculator and attach it to a specific product. It can use external API to calculate the prices. You can put any kind of logic there, so that's really flexible. We have this promotion system with rules and actions, so that's quite powerful. You can create coupons with. It's not only like fixed discount coupon or percentage discount coupon. You can create coupons which add custom products, which modify the whole cart in any way, because you can as well, just like with calculators, you can create your own promotion actions. So an example of action is something that adds a custom product to cart with some specific price or something like that. That's pretty simple example, but we have full flexibility there. Yeah, there's quite a lot of components. Yes, when I was releasing version 0.11, I counted how many tags I needed to create. So it was 50, I think. Mm-hmm. So the 50, so it's components and bundles together, of course. But I think there's a good deal of functionality in Sylius already for that young project, for that young product. But definitely, there are, for example, the search is missing, but everyone who worked with Sylius and wanted to have a search functionality, he basically took Elastica bundle for Symfony and used it. Like it was super simple to implement a really powerful search. But now we are working on.
Seems we lost Pavel a bit. Until we got him back. Regarding the search for Easy Publish community, once you have the products connected, let's say in a way that you have the same product in Easy database and in Sylius, you can use the Easy Publish search engine. So currently it's Solar, it might be Elasticsearch also in the near future. So regarding search, I would say that we are covered. Just we hope he will get back at least to say hi. We are closing this soon. What I wanted to also note that e-commerce solutions tend to be, at least the monolithic one, they tend to be used for physical goods and physical products that are usually they need to be shipped, they need to be calculated for shipment regarding size and freight, etc., etc. So they usually integrate with some ERPs and whatever. So this is a usual kind of a use case for a e-commerce solution. But what is very interesting for us currently is the integration with the CMS like Easy, where we actually would like to use the Sylius and e-commerce features for selling virtual goods, which is much more interesting in terms of content management systems, selling content and similar stuff. So this is something to consider. And seems that Pavel is gone. He's not going back, and we are on over 30 minutes anyway. So thanks to Pavel. I will try to catch him later. And thanks for being on the show, listening to the show, and hope to see you soon again. Bye-bye.